Terry Reid, who turned down Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, has died. He was 75. I'm John Bowden. This is Rocky Stream Music. Terry Reid was a powerful singer-songwriter and guitarist whose soaring vocals earned him the nickname Superlungs. He died after a battle with cancer. Reid's death comes just weeks after he was forced to cancel a European tour due to complications from that cancer treatment. An official statement cited medical issues arising from recent treatment, and a GoFundMe campaign was just put up before his death to help with the cost of his treatment. There's been a lot of tributes pouring in, one from blues guitarist Joe Bonamassa, who called him one of the greatest to ever do it and a beautiful person in soul. He added, "Goodbye, my friend. It was an honor to get to know you as a friend and a musical mentor. I will miss our hangs and stories in Palm Springs." He's often remembered as the man who turned down rock immortality. Reid famously declined Jimmy Page's invitation to join the New Yardbirds, a band that would become Led Zeppelin, and later passed on an offer to replace Rod Evans in Deep Purple. But here's a guy who preferred sort of a different legacy. He said, quote, "It's quite a feather in my cap that I put the thing together," he told Mojo magazine in 2023, referring to his role of recommending Robert Plant and John Bonham to Jimmy Page after seeing them perform with Band of Joy. He says, "When I saw Robert and John, I thought, wow, that's exactly what he's looking for," referring to Jimmy Page as he was putting together the New Yardbirds. Born in Cambridgeshire in 1949, Reid was already performing professionally at the age of 15. He formed his first band, the Red Beats, when he was just 13 years old, and he toured with the Kinks and the Hollies. His next band was Peter J. and the Jaywalkers. That landed him a spot supporting the Rolling Stones. That was 1966. It was an experience that changed everything for Reid. He said, "2 days later, I was playing at Albert Hall." That's from Mojo magazine. He added, "All screaming girls, it was scary. You couldn't hear anything," which of course reminded you of what the Beatles were saying in the early days of their concerts. His association with the Stones would ultimately influence rock history's most pivotal decisions. In 1968, after receiving an offer from Jimmy Page to front Led Zeppelin, Reid told Classic Rock that he deferred out of loyalty to Keith Richards because he had already committed to being with the Stones in the US. "I said to Jimmy, you better talk to Keith and tell him I'm not going. But Jimmy bottled it," he said. "I'm not having him shoot me in the blankety-blank leg." Getting back to the Band of Joy and Robert Plant and John Bonham performing in North England, there was a situation in that concert when he was watching them that their PA failed. So Reid threw them a microphone from his own rig, and the performance kind of floored him. He said, "That freaking drummer," looking at John Bonham, "he floored me." Another quote from Mojo magazine. "And here's the thing. When he went back, I told Peter Grant, who would be Led Zeppelin's manager, get Jimmy on the phone. I've got a drummer that'll knock his socks off and a guy who will sing rings around his guitar licks." I mean, that is rock and roll history right there. Reid's refusal to join Deep Purple was similar and self-directed. Reid says they were going into a real hard rock thing that I wasn't really into. He said he was flattered, but he said no thanks to Deep Purple. Despite his pivotal role in rock's evolution, Reid's own career was hampered early on by a long contractual dispute with producer Mickey Most. It was something that prevented him from releasing music for several years. His first two albums, Bang Bang, You're Terry Reid in '68, and the self-titled Terry Reid in '69, showcased his formidable blend of blues, soul, and rock. But he found his true voice in '73 with River, a deeply textured and genre-bending album, often regarded as his masterpiece. Signed to Atlantic, River leaned closer to the soulful atmospheres of, let's say, Tim Buckley or John Martin than the thunder of what would become Led Zeppelin. Reid spent most of the '70s and '80s primarily as a studio musician, with artists like Jackson Browne, Bonnie Raitt, and Don Henley. He returned to solo work in 1991 with The Driver, produced by Trevor Horn, and he remained active in live music much of the following 3 decades. In 2018, he collaborated with Joe Perry's Switzerland Manifesto, recording at Johnny Depp's studio. Depp was interested in adapting Reid's memoir, which was then in progress, into a film. The memoir, according to Reid, in his final Mojo interview in 2024, was focused not on stardom, but on the cast of characters he encountered along the way. Reid says, "That's where I got my education, the Keith Richards School of Hard Knocks. And Keith Moon's whole plan of life was to lead society down a blind alley with a bomb in his hand." Graham Nash of the Hollies and Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young called him phenomenal. Robert Plant once said Reid was probably the best singer of that period. Aretha Franklin herself declared in '68, "There are only three things happening in England: the Rolling Stone, the Beatles, and Terry Reid." Though superstardom was kind of out of reach at times, by choice for Terry Reid, he was never bitter. He toured when he could, worked the studio when he couldn't tour, and always stayed true to his musical path. He told Mojo, jokingly, envisioning a final act, "What I'm considered is getting a wig and really good makeup and doing my own tribute band. You earn more bloody money. I've just got to find the right wig." Terry Reid turned down those bands, hung out with all those rock stars, but really made a big impact. In some ways, he didn't really have to be the main guy, which in rock and roll sometimes is rare. He's still being remembered as one of the best. And yeah, he helped shape rock and roll on his own terms. Did you ever meet Terry Reid, his solo albums, any stories to tell? Make sure you share them. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. May he rest in peace.